You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, happy Friday. Welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show. Great to have you with us here on 702. I hope you're well this morning. It's Friday. You know what we do every single Friday? We do Gratitude Friday. This is where you can call us on the 702 open line and tell us what you are grateful for this week. What is it that happened this week that put a smile on your face? You can call us on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. What is going on with this story around the Palestinians who have arrived in South Africa? An humanitarian aid group, Gift of the Givers, says that it's going to be keeping them and ensuring that there's accommodation for them. And that's what I'm trying to figure out. That's why we're going to speak to the Palestinian ambassador soon. But for some context, Gift of the Giver says keeping 153 Palestinians inside a plane for about 12 hours at OR Tambo International Airport was unacceptable. The travelers, as you've heard on EWN this morning, were left stranded yesterday on the tarmac at OR Tambo International Airport. Border police couldn't immediately get them off the aircraft because they didn't have the required customary departure stamps to disembark. So the group landed from Kenya, we're told. They landed yesterday morning on the charter flight operated by South African airline Global Airways. Gift of the Givers chairman Imtiaz Suleiman says this should not have happened because the organization had already agreed to house them when they arrived, because there was information already that these were people that were on the way. So what do you think is at play here? Because there are all sorts of allegations that are also being made. There are, Gift of the Givers, I think, indicated that they believe from the people that they've spoken to that there seems to be a plan by Israel to remove people from Gaza and sending them on charter planes without stamping their passports. There was somebody else also, I think, who was on the SABC who was making almost a similar indication as well. Someone who was with the Palestinians that were on that flight. But who paid for that flight? And before Kenya, where were these Palestinians? And if they arrived here, did they apply for asylum to be refugees? Because that seems to be another confusion. I called someone in the Border Management Authority just to get some context. And the information I got was that the reason that they didn't allow them to get off the flight is because, one, their passports were not stamped, so you don't really know where they come from. But two, there was no indication. Because remember, when you come to South Africa particularly, in fact, most countries, if you are here as a tourist, for you to even be let in, you need to be able to show, okay, where am I going to stay? You need to be able to show that this is my return flight in some, if not all circumstances. and that they didn't pass that test. Now, the second test you probably want to pass is we need to give you refugee status. You want to apply for asylum. But if you want to apply for asylum, there are strict conditions that are also attached to that. And my understanding is that from the people I spoke to at the Border Management Authority is that none of the people who were in that flight wanted to apply for asylum. And Gift of the Givers then came through and said, we are open to making available accommodation for the people that arrived here. So the Border Management Authority says, we couldn't just let people out without getting clarity on where they come from and what kind of visas they're getting. In fact, there had to be an exception from the Minister of Home Affairs. I would imagine maybe DERCO minister called his Minister of Home Affairs and said, please can you write a letter authorizing the Border Management Authority to, under these circumstances, at least help these people get off a flight, and we'll give them these 92 days or so that they've mentioned. So we're going to try and understand what is going on here, because there's so many questions I have. I'm sure you've got your own questions as well. If you've got any, give me a call, send me a WhatsApp, and then I'll put them to the Palestinian ambassador, because I know the ambassador went to see the guys when they were still on the plane last night at OR Tambo International Airport. 011-883-0702 is the number to dial. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. We've also reached out to Israel to also just give them a chance to explain to us whether, if at all, they're involved, and to respond, of course, to the claim that they are the ones that are busing people from Gaza and they're getting them on these charter planes and sending them to other parts of the world as part of removing people from Palestine. So as soon as we get them, we'll put them on the radio.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Uh-oh, Abel, I'll get into trouble here. I forgot to say, that's the show coming up over the next 3 hours. Let's go to your WhatsApps.
Good morning, Clement. This is Cynthia. Oh, what a tragedy is South Africa. Who is using us now? I've got one word for anybody, is investigate how 152 reluctant people who are exhausted from a country that's ravished are used as pawns. Please investigate. Please investigate, because this story sounds like a very interesting story.
Morning, Clement. Regarding the Palestinians who were stuck at OR Tambo, I don't agree with Dr. Suleiman when he says there must be an investigation against Home Affairs officials, because we are now in a situation like with our police whereby we are questioning them to say, if you are given an instruction, even if it's wrongful from your managers or like your line manager, are you just gonna do it blindly? So Dr. Suleiman should let Home Affairs do the work that they're supposed to do. So it is not their fault. They are not the ones that put us in this situation.
Yeah, and also, guys, if the Border Management Authority had decided to just allow people without following the normal processes into the country, and then you find out later certain people were allowed who shouldn't have been allowed to disembark, who do you think is going to take accountability? It's not the ministers, right? So the Border Management Authority has released a statement outlining what they've done and why there were delays at the airport. And the worry now is, had they just done whatever without the minister's letter, where there's an appreciation of the special circumstances and there's a deviation from the normal regulations and rules, then the accounting authority and the Border Management Authority is the one who's going to take the flag. All right, let's get some clarity now. Let's get some clarity now with Hanan Jara, who is the ambassador of the State of Palestine to the Republic of South Africa, Namibia, Lesotho, and Malawi, who's going to join us on the line in a few moments to just explain to us what really transpired yesterday. Ambassador Jara, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for hosting me.
Let's start with just the basics of what happened yesterday. My understanding is that you did go and meet with the Palestinians that arrived on this chartered flight. Where are they coming from, and do we know who paid for that chartered flight?
Yes. First of all, I would love to salute South African government and for its outstanding position on what happened yesterday. That position stems from two major things. First of all, the human perspective, and second, the international law and the solidarity with the Palestinian people as well. As for what happened yesterday, we received 153 Palestinians on a plane that was coming initially from an Israeli airport, an airbase, taking people. All the people were coming from Gaza, families, children, and families mainly. And obviously, these people were misled by a non-governmental organization that is it's virtual, online, but it's like obviously an organized organization that was created for the purpose of evacuating or taking out people from Gaza, making use of the desperate situation of the Palestinian people in Gaza after 2 years of genocide to evacuate them, taking into consideration that no one is allowed to go inside Gaza or to go outside Gaza. So what happened is that that plane, which has no clear commercial commercial name or brand, let's say, was flying in a very suspicious way from Ramon Airport in Israel, as I mentioned, into Nairobi, Kenya, and then arrived to Johannesburg. What make it the incident happen? That this is not the first flight that comes in this way. This is the second flight in 2 weeks that brings all the flight was Palestinians evacuated from Gaza through the same organization that follow the same route, let's say, in taking people outside from Palestine to Gaza. Of course, the identity of the party that chartered the flight from Gaza, let's say, or from Israel, because they were chartered from Ramon Air Base in southern Israel, and then they had a connected flight from Nairobi, remains unclear. We don't know who are they, because as soon as a problem arises, and the South African authorities, which of course they have all the right to suspect any flight that there is something suspicious and unclear, these organizers just disappear. They do not phone, they do not receive calls, they do not answer the clients, they do not do anything, which also put red flags for us as Palestinians and for the South African government.
Okay, so just to clarify, you were saying that there's an NGO that has been getting people out of Gaza. What are they saying exactly to people in Gaza to get them out? Are they saying, we've got an opportunity to take you to a new country, to start a new life? What exactly are they promising people in Gaza who end up getting on buses to Israel and to be chartered from Israel, then to these countries like Kenya, South Africa?
No, they don't promise anything. They say that, people are in despair. People are desperate to go out after 2 years of genocide. It's a human nature. It's normal that you want to go out at any way. So they say that what we can do is that we can help you. You pay us money. And some people, I was talking to some of the Palestinian citizens yesterday, the prices even vary. Some people are paying like $3,000 per person. Some families were paying $5,000 US
for what
per
exactly?
family. US dollars for family, only to take them out, to put them in a plane and to secure their landing in one of the countries, basically, that is granting waiver of visa requirements for Palestinians. Mainly, it was Malaysia, Indonesia, South Africa, and some other countries also that do not require Palestinians to have a visa. They can have it on arrival. So they were making use of these things. No promises, nothing. Only the people are like promised to be taken out of Gaza.
But are they leaving Gaza under the guise of, okay, we'll go to those countries for a couple of months, or is it under the guise of, we want to go and live in those countries?
Most of the people that I met, they want to go outside for a period of time as like a time out, let's say, until the reconstruction process takes place, and then they want to go back. Definitely, they want to go back. Yes, yesterday they were given the choice of asylum in South Africa with all the conditions as a normal people, but none of them applied for it, and none of them were interested in applying.
Which was my next question then, because then that complicates things. Because one, you can't be allowed in South Africa as a visitor because you don't have, your passport is not stamped, you don't have a return flight. But number two, you have not provided accommodation. So those are the conditions under our laws, part of the conditions. So, I think we've lost her there. Okay, we're going to try to get her back. I'm trying to understand, why are they not applying for asylum? But what I'm getting from the ambassador is that these are not people who really just wanted to come and live here and get a refugee status per se. They just wanted a break to go, and then they can go back to Gaza once the reconstruction process has begun. Ambassador, we've got you back on the line. I wanted to understand, why did they not want to apply for asylum?
Because they do not want to stay in South Africa for the rest of their lives. Because we were explaining to them, according to the rules and regulations of the Home Affairs that we received yesterday, if you want to apply for asylum, they will take your passport. You might not be able to travel. You might not be able to go out. And you might not be able to get your passport until you receive an answer. And it might take 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, it's upon. So they say like, no, we came here just for a temporary time to find, to go back to Gaza or to find another destination that is more suitable. Most of the people who came, they do not speak English, so they have a language barrier. Most of them, like, they just want to have a small break, or maybe they can find their destination in other country, but definitely they want to go back in Gaza.
Okay, so where are they going to live in South Africa? I know Gift of the Givers has come to provide some assistance. What exactly are they providing? How long? So they've got 90 days, and is there a plan on what happens after the 90 days?
As what I witnessed yesterday, I was with the people on the plane. Most of them, they want to leave to other countries because most of them, they went to Gaza, out of Gaza through this particular plane because this was the only plane, the only way that to take them out of Gaza. Some of them, they want to rejoin their families in other countries like Egypt, like Oman, like Germany, and so on. So I don't believe after the 90 days, we advise them to go out before the 90 days time finished. They will consider themselves as tourists. And then through this, even some of them, we received on the plane 53 passengers. Already 11 passengers has left yesterday on a flight to Australia to join their families. Another 6 left also to Egypt, also to join their families. So they are not staying here. Here is like a temporary destination, just to find another solution for their situation.
Yeah.
And what South Africa did was really, really amazing because South Africa knows that this charter flight, the suspicion one that comes full with Palestinians, comes with one aim, which is empty the Palestinian territory from its people, an Israeli agenda. South Africa will never accept this, will never support this. But on the other hand, they handle it from a human perspective.
We've lost that line again. Something seems to be wrong with her line, because this is actually the third time that it's cutting. Before I even spoke to her, while I was introducing her, the line cut. They had to bring her back again. But I think we've got the gist, right? If there's anything else that you still want me to clarify, please put it up on WhatsApp on 072 702 702, and maybe we'll see if we can get her back. But I think I've got the gist here. These are people who have moved from Palestine. They apparently, according to the ambassador, were promised an opportunity to fly to other countries by an NGO that the ambassador believes is operated, probably organized by Israel, because these people were bused from Gaza to Israel, and there was a plane that was chartered from Israel. How is it that we don't know the extent of the Israeli involvement in this? Because nobody can say for sure that it's Israel that chartered the plane. Who paid for a chartered flight to leave Israel and come all the way to Kenya and then come to South Africa? How can we not have that information? We have contacted the Israeli Prime Minister's spokesperson, and the response we got said, okay, they are considering our response. They said, okay, they told my producers that they've received our request. They are considering their response to the questions that my producer has already put to them. So as soon as they come through, I'll alert you. What do you think is at play here? Are you still confused? It's 28 after 9.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
9:33, this is the 702 open line. You can give us a call on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. We spoke to the Palestinian ambassador to South Africa about these 153 Palestinians who arrived in South Africa yesterday on a chartered plane from Israel that went to Kenya, then South Africa, from what the ambassador shared with us. We're still waiting on the Israeli Prime Minister spokesperson to indicate if they're willing to come and speak to us, but we've reached out to them. And I'm also taking your calls on what you are grateful for this week. In fact, here's a WhatsApp voice note that's come through. This is a Friday, and every Friday we do Gratitude Friday, where you can call us and tell us what you are grateful for this week.
Hi Clement, it's Banele here in Nelspruit, Stonehenge. I passed my driver's license code 10 on Monday. Yeah, that's what I'm grateful for.
Oh, well done. Well, code 10 gonna get in. Yeah, well done. It's not code 8, ne? Yeah, nah. If it was code 8, I would say something else. The code 10, code 10 is good. You can drive a truck, my friend. You and I can drive a truck. That's good. All right, it's 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. Let's get to your calls now. Belinda, you're calling us from Johannesburg. What do you want to say from what you've heard from the ambassador? Hi.
Hi. So I've got a question and a statement. I'll start with my statement first. The statement is that Israel's being blamed in all of this, but a simple Google search will show you that Israel stopped using stamps in passports over 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
There's paper slips one gets in entry and exit. So I don't know how the media is wrapping all of this up when that's fact. My second thing is, will the innocents in Sudan, Mozambique, and Nigeria be allowed to have chartered planes, and will Zerko allow them in? Should they be afforded the same opportunity? Thanks.
Belinda in Joburg, thank you so much for your call. Marcus, you are in, let's start with you, Gabi, first in Johannesburg. Good morning.
Good morning. My question is, how come Gift of the Givers is allowed to roughshod over the laws of the country? Should this not have been the role of the embassy the Palestinian embassy in South Africa? It seems that Gift of the Givers has now been the one to go and change the laws of this country with regards to entries of refugees. Also that they aren't, it's been made clear that they aren't claiming asylum seeker status or refugee status. What was Gift of the Givers doing on the plane and interacting with the government when there is an ambassador residing in our country that is meant to be doing this?
So the gift, remember, they are now eligible for a 90-day visa exemption travel to South Africa. So they've been processed as per that and will be required to adhere to all the conditions of entry. What the Border Management Authority have done, Gabi, is they didn't filter. In fact, they stuck to the rules and they said, are you here as a visitor? If you are, show us 1, 2, 3. If you don't have that, then Are you here to seek asylum? If not, then we can't let you off the flight. So they followed the law, and Gift of the Givers didn't change any laws. They've come in now. Yes, they're criticizing how the Border Management Authority have done things, but they're now saying we will offer accommodation to these people who are now here in South Africa. But they haven't necessarily changed any laws, because there's an exemption that came from the Minister of Home Affairs, and these people will be here for 90 days, and they will have to follow the conditions as outlined in law.
Yes, what is fascinating is in the Gift of the Giver statement, he says that he made a direct phone call to Zane Dangor and Ronald Lamola to sort the situation out. So we're seeing now that Gift of the Givers is replacing the Palestinian embassy in South Africa, because he doesn't say that they're just providing refuge and accommodation. They very clearly position themselves as rather a Palestinian embassy residing in South Africa, as purely a NGO.
Or maybe they're an advocacy
is Gift
group.
of the Givers taking over DIRCO? Is that what they are insinuating? And you see there's kind of a
Oh, he's gone. Please bring her back. If you can, please. Gaby, that line dropped. I don't know. Is there something wrong with our lines? Because these lines are dropping. We're going to try bring her back. But what I wanted to say to Gaby is, I think it's a bit of an exaggeration to say Gift of the Givers is taking over the Palestinian embassy. I think you can be concerned about perhaps how they're criticizing the Border Management Authority for simply doing their job. Oh, there's Gaby back on the line. What I wanted to say, Gaby, is they are an advocacy group, right? Like for instance, in South Africa, we've got the Jewish Board of Deputies. If there were Israelis who arrived in South Africa, who perhaps needed some assistance, were stranded, the Jewish Board of Deputies could probably come in, or any other advocacy group that wants to help
as
them,
this has
right?
been stated, we actually had this situation when there wasn't an embassy in Israel for South Africans during the Iranian war. And the South African Jewish Board of Deputies contacted DIRCO when Iran struck Israel. And there were South African citizens stranded in Israel, not just Jews, Christians, people going there, tourists. They were stranded, and the Jewish Board of Deputies reached out to DIRCO. DIRCO was no assistance to the Jewish community or to South Africans
The problem is
stranded in
DIRCO.
Israel.
Isn't that the problem?
That it just shows where DIRCO lies. That they
which
are
is
very
precisely
quick
my
to
point.
answer Gift of the Givers phone calls and sort out Palestinians, but their own citizens, South Africans, who were stuck in Israel during the Iranian war, were not given
Precisely my point,
privileges
Gaby.
of coming back.
Yeah, precisely the point I'm trying to make to you, that instead of trying to shift the blame to Gift of the Givers, which has every right to do what it can to assist the Palestinians, right, because that's part of their cause, the same way that, as you say, the Jewish Board of Deputies called DIRCO, they've got every right to do that. Then put the blame on DIRCO. If DIRCO has not been consistent in how it responds to these advocacy groups, that's the problem with them. They're supposed to be consistent when they are being asked to assist certain groups that are, Palestinians are leaving a country that has been at war. Everything is destroyed almost there. So Gift of the Givers feels the responsibility as an advocacy group to try and intervene where they can, including with government. The Jewish Board of Deputies can equally do the same thing. They've got every right to do that. And other advocacy or NGO groups. So if DIRCO has not been consistent in how it assists people, that's the problem with DIRCO. And we must hold DIRCO accountable for that. Marcus, you're in Kensington. What are your thoughts? Hi.
Yes, hi, Clement. Clement, you posed the question, what is at play here? Well, I think the question's been answered. I think it's mischief-making. It's typically mischief-making of the Israeli state, and the responses from Gaby and Belinda before her bear that out, and they are trying to shift the narrative. The real questions to be asked, Clement, is who knew what, and did they willingly collaborate in an act of ethnic cleansing? Because this is what it is. It's taking advantage of people, desperate people, and as the Palestinian ambassador said, even if they wanted to just get a break from the situation, those were her words, But we know, Clement, we know the name of the company, the aviation company involved in this. So it's Global Aviation Operations.
But who paid?
Yeah, exactly. But we even know the names of the people associated with that. Anyone can do such. I won't name them here on the radio, but you can do a Google search and you'll find those names, right? Now, who paid for them? Who contacted them? Did they have permission from the Kenyan Civil Aviation Authority to fly those people from Kenya to Johannesburg? Did they know this? What did they know? Were they contacted by the Israeli state, by Israeli military, Israeli intelligence? What did they know? So, those are questions that need to be answered.
Exactly.
So
and how do we answer those questions, Marcus? Because I'm equally frustrated because those are the questions I have. I want to know who paid for this flight to be chartered. If it came from Israel to Kenya to South Africa, and this is even a second chartered plane, who paid for it?
Exactly.
Because that's going to then give us some context of probably the reasons why the plane has been chartered when we know who is responsible for paying that. Because it's not cheap, guys, to charter a plane from Israel to Kenya to South Africa. It's not. What is the reason behind that? What is the reason behind that? And I think we'll know that once there's a sense of who has put in the money behind this. It's 15 before 10.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
14 minutes before 10 o'clock. King, you're calling us from Centurion. What are you grateful for?
Hi, Clement and the listener. How are you?
Sharp, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, in 2020, after getting my PhD, I decided to upskill myself in terms of leadership. And then I registered for the Masters of Business Leadership, which was totally different from my specialization. I'm an agricultural scientist. So it had 10 modules. I passed 9 modules. There was that module which was giving me a hell of stress.
There's always that one module, hey?
Yeah, it's advanced accounting. So I failed it, and then I repeated it. I got the results yesterday. I get 84%.
Well done.
I'm very grateful, considering the fact that I'm a scientist, and then I went to start something that is totally different.
Yeah. Oh, man, King. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm happy. My year has been made yesterday.
So your master's in business leadership is now complete.
Thank you very much.
Well done, brother. Well done. We celebrate with you this morning, King, in Centurion. Karen, you calling us from Morningside. Good morning.
Morning, Clement.
Hi.
A question on my mind is, if this plane stopped in Kenya, and I understand that they have a formal asylum process there, why did South Africa, at the behest of Gift of the Givers, accept this plane load of people and not send them back to Kenya?
And so
we can have bleeding hearts, and it's all very well, but there are processes in place under international law. There are legal protections, and we've got to protect our own people and our own nation first.
Yeah, we're trying to figure that out, Karen. My producers are trying to find out from Kenya what happened when it landed there. Like, did they refuse them entry, or was it only in Kenya for them to then, just then travel to South Africa? So what was the process when they arrived in Kenya? So we're trying to figure that out. So as soon as that clarity is sought, I'll let you guys know about it. But Karen, that is a good question you're asking. What happened there in Kenya? Thank you so much for your call, Karen, in Morningside. AB, you are in KwaZulu-Natal, in Durban. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
Good morning, Clement.
Sure.
It's very clear that an Israeli organization put the whole scam together because it's impossible for Palestinians to leave Gaza, travel through the border into Israel, and go all the way to the airport, and then you are processed and fly out on Kenyan Airlines. Here's another interesting point. The Israeli president visited Kenya last month. So the plot thickens. And Clement, when the Palestinians arrived in Joburg, I'm sure they were bewildered about how they ended up here in South Africa. And our officials here also were also uncertain how to deal with the situation. Hence the delay. It was a unique and confusing situation caused by the scam.
In fact, AB, as I said, I spoke to some people who gave me background information in the Border Management Authority, some sources who said these guys were surprised. They didn't know. They were like, what are we doing here? They don't even know why they're here in South Africa. It almost looks like it is a scam from what the officials at the Border Management Authority are telling me. That's why they were like, okay, are you here to visit? They're like, in South Africa, or are you here for asylum? And they didn't want to apply for asylum because they didn't want their passports to be confiscated and they won't be allowed to leave. So it's really, really confusing, AB. But yeah, they were confused when they landed in South Africa yesterday, according to the officials, but also according to the Palestinian ambassador who spoke to us earlier on. AB in Durban, thanks for your call. Here are some of your WhatsApp voice notes.
Good morning, Clement. My question is, why didn't they end up in Kenya? Why did the flight had to stop at Kenya and come here? They could have finished their traveling in Kenya. They could have been accepted as asylums or whatever state they are in Kenya. Secondly, what papers are they going to use to move to those countries that they're saying they're moving to? I don't see them moving. They're going to be here for the coming 100 years.
So why are these Palestinians not being accommodated in the neighboring states in Palestine? Why are they not why were they not accommodated in Kenya? Because we understand that they are coming now, flying in here from Kenya. Who paid for the flight? So why are we receiving them as South Africans and having government departments running around and South Africans running around for an arrangement that was not set up prior? Is it because maybe they are not black? Yeah, ne? And we wonder when the government refuses that they were paid even to make allegations against, to set up to take the Israelites to court in terms of the Palestinian genocide, which, yes, it is a genocide. But why are we in the middle of this? Whilst we have our own problems.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
5 minutes before 10 o'clock. We've been trying behind the scenes to work out who may have paid for this chartered plane from the clues that we've gotten. I mean, I've been trying to make calls to some CEO of an airline to try and find out if they can assist us. But yeah, I'm sure throughout the day, in fact, here on 702, my colleagues as well are going to try and find out what is really going on here. But let's go to your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702.
Morning, Clement. I don't think this is a surprise plane that nobody knows anything about. The officials, they definitely know. I can tell you. People up there, including the president, they probably know what's going on. We are the ones who have not been told the whole information. I mean, how can a plane just land in South Africa from Kenya? Where was it going? How did it end up in South Africa? And secondly, a plane doesn't just land. I'm sure there are some things that are followed before the plane can just land. I mean, it doesn't work like that. I mean, these people who are there, have they been vetted? How do you know that you don't have terrorists there? I'm just saying, how do you know you don't have... from the security point of view, if you've got more than 100 people in a plane that nobody knows anything about, how are those people vetted? I mean, these are the questions. I understand the humanitarian point of view, but this is a country. You can't just rock up for vibes with no one knowing what's going on.
Morning, Clement. Poye from Johannesburg South. Clement, first question. What are the regulations saying about people landing in South Africa without being vetted? What are they saying? MTS Suleiman coming on media and saying that the Border Management Authority must be investigated because they made people to sit in the plane for more than 12 hours on the tarmac in OR Tambo, and he had already told people that he will give them accommodation. Is MTS Suleiman is MTS Suleiman the Department of Home Affairs? I'm not sure what is this guy going to? And these NGOs, they seem to be, operating willy-nilly and outside the law in South Africa, which is concerning. We should look into this. Thank you. Is he part of it? M.T. Suleiman. Did he bury those people from Israel? We should be asking him those questions.
Yeah, so I'm laughing because I'm thinking it's so great that we've got NGOs coming up now across the desk feature, now that there's so much chat about that. But guys, two things that I want to really clarify. Well, at least let me give you my opinion because I've had opinions about it. One, this concept of, South Africa has its own problems. Therefore, why are we getting ourselves involved? Guys, we are part of a global community. We are part of a global community. If there are things happening in other countries, especially countries that have given us help in our moment of need, and even if it's countries that have not given us help in our moment of need, there's a level of responsibility that a country like ours, that especially understands the challenges that come with a system, because we've been there ourselves, the challenges that come with an unfair system. What you do is you try and assist where you can. That's why our president is part of the group of these African leaders who went to meet the Ukrainian president, went to meet the Russian president. That's why our president has said we go to the ICJ because we're concerned about what's happening in Gaza. So this idea that we're supposed to be this little country in a corner somewhere and just mind our business is crazy. We're part of a global community and there are responsibilities that we have. Can you imagine if countries were quiet during our time of need, during apartheid? Do you think we would have defeated apartheid had it not been for the pressure that came from the international community? No, we wouldn't have. But also, I agree that we need to ask Gift of the Givers why they're trying to question the Border Management Authority for doing its job. But Gift of the Givers is also an advocacy group. They've got a right to call DERCO or call their president the same way that any other NGO, if they want to advocate and try protect or influence decisions on behalf of the groups they represent, they are welcome to do that as long as they're not doing anything illegal. So Gift of the Givers can't be criticized for calling DERCO and saying, hey, there are people here who are stuck. They can't be criticized for that. Any other group could have done that, any other NGO. But we must be able to say to Gift of the Givers, what exactly did you expect our officials to do when people are arriving with no stamped passports, with no proof that they've got a ticket to return back home, so they're not visitors, but also they're not asylum seekers? So what, just let them out into South Africa without following the law? That's where I agree that the question must be asked.